Curiosity. It's an interesting thing, which I guess is somewhat ironic. But did you know that there are 4 different archetypes of curious people? And did you know that there are actually 5 different types of curiosity? In this video, I'm going to be going over these things, and by the end of the video, you'll know which archetype of curious person suits your personality. So sit back, relax, and let's get right into it. According to Google, curiosity is defined as a strong desire to know or learn something. When we think of curiosity, we tend to associate it with positive things, such as adventure, exploration, and learning. When we think of someone who's curious, we might think of a scientist, or we might think of a thrill seeker who wants to jump out of a plane and go skydiving because they want to know what that feels like. A huge variety of different people can be seen as being curious, and pretty much every single person on this planet is curious in one aspect or another. However, curiosity can also be associated with some negative characteristics such as nosiness and promiscuity. Although since we're in the 21st century, in a lot of places promiscuity isn't as looked down upon as it was, let's say, 100 years ago. I would say that I'm personally quite a curious person when it comes to many different aspects of my life. For example, I really love learning about how people work in their day-to-day lives and in social situations, which is why I do psychology as my degree. But I'm also a very curious person when it comes to traveling and experiencing new things. So I actually do want to go skydiving, and
I want to jump out of a plane.
As crazy as that might sound to some people, but I'm always on the search for novel experiences that will enhance my experience on this earth, I guess. Because anything that you're not used to and anything that's new to you will inevitably teach you something about life or about yourself or something that you think about. New experiences tend to change our views on the world, and it tends to change our views on ourselves. Like, am I the type of person to do this thing? Maybe you think that you're not someone who's willing to jump out of a plane, but maybe one day your friend persuades you to do it and you go skydiving for the first time, and it turns out that you love it and skydiving becomes your new passion. If you can afford it, that is. Because let's be honest here, skydiving is freaking expensive. And as a broke university student, I don't think I have the money for that. Hopefully I do have the money for that in the future, because I do want to go skydiving. Because curiosity is such a broad thing, and because curiosity is actually really important in our development as a species, because without curiosity we wouldn't invent anything new and nothing would progress. Hence why it's such an essential trait in us human beings. And because curiosity is so broad, a lot of research has been done into it, especially in the past 2 decades. Prior to the 21st century, there wasn't actually a lot of research into curiosity. It was just seen as a trait that was quite valuable to have, especially people in fields such as research and science, and yeah, scientific background type of people, you know, that shebang. As we came into the 21st century, people became more curious about curiosity, which again is pretty damn ironic. Research up to 2009 proposed that there's 2 different curiosity dimensions. They took the general idea of curiosity and split it into 2 different parts. One of these parts is stretching, which is the motivation to seek out new knowledge and new experiences, and the other part is embracing, which is a willingness to embrace the uncertain and unpredictable nature of everyday life. Curiosity, however, is much more complicated than this. Can you really split it into only 2 different parts? After another decade of curiosity research, in 2020, a revised version of the 5-dimensional curiosity scale was created. People can actually take a test for these 5 dimensions, and you can have a high to low score on each one of these different dimensions. And this is actually what they did in the research leading up to this new model of curiosity in 2020. Now, what exactly are the 5 different dimensions of curiosity? The first dimension is joyous exploration, which is pretty much what everyone thinks of when they think of curiosity. It's the recognition and desire to seek out new knowledge and information, and the subsequent joy of learning and growing, which sounds a lot like self-development to me, if any of you are into that. I'm pretty deep into that stuff. That self-development stuff, you know. It's good. Quite a few people will probably score highly for joyous exploration, as it's a very general thing, but as you'll later find out, not everyone scores that high on this, which was surprising to me. But this isn't about what I think, so moving on. The second dimension is deprivation sensitivity. And when I first read this, I was like, what the f is that? It sounds quite complicated, but it really isn't once you break it down. Put into simple terms, it's thinking about abstract or complex ideas. So imagine a philosopher who's thinking about the meaning of life all day, or whatever they're thinking about. I actually took a module of philosophy in university, and it is like brain explosion. I did the same brain explosion in the last video. Yeah, philosophy is pretty damn complicated, because the point of philosophy is to try to answer questions that will never have an answer. So you'll just be thinking forever. Yeah, philosophers will most likely score pretty highly on deprivation sensitivity. Other people who would probably score high on this are people who like coding and computer science, and also engineers, because they like to think about problems to solve them. Pretty much everyone who likes thinking about things in a logical fashion will probably score high in this dimension. The third dimension is stress tolerance, which is about the willingness to embrace doubts, anxiety, and other forms of distress when seeking out new experiences. So if you're really good at accepting things that happen in your life, so let's say something completely unpredictable happens, like COVID-19. Perhaps COVID was predictable, but it seemed to come out of nowhere for most of us. So let's just say that it's unpredictable for now. If you were good at embracing and accepting that uncertainty that COVID caused, and you were kind of just like, it is what it is. And that's probably the best way to handle it, because the majority of us were stressing the fuck out about COVID and the fact that we had to stay indoors 24/7. Yeah, it's a pretty sad time. And yes, I know it's still ongoing. We don't talk about that. If you manage to embrace that situation, you'd probably score high in stress tolerance. The fourth dimension is social curiosity, and this dimension can be split into overt and covert. Let me explain. Overt social curiosity is about the willingness to understand how people work, to understand how people tick, if you wish. So any psychologist or anyone interested in psychology would score pretty high in this one. These people would like to initiate those deep conversations and understand what a person is thinking and why they're thinking that, and maybe other reasons as to why that person is thinking that, even though that person doesn't know the reasons themselves because of the subconscious mind. And how the subconscious mind is the thing in our lives, because the background, we're always controlled by the subconscious mind. So do we really have any bearing on what we're doing in our lives? Like, can we actually control what we do, or maybe that's the subconscious mind, and it's going to be a thing over the last few weeks. Do we even have a choice in that? Okay, that was a bit of a ramble. Now, covert social curiosity is about that same interest in people, but the way that they get their information is different. People who score highly in this dimension would be really interested in things such as gossip or just observing people's behaviors from across the room. So if you like gossip, you might score highly on this one. And apparently covert social curiosity actually functions as a way to increase your self-esteem by looking for downwards comparison between yourself and other people. Hence why a lot of gossip seems to be quite negative. But you know what? It's not the end of the world if you gossip. I have to admit, sometimes I do enjoy a bit of gossip. So perhaps I'm trying to increase my self-esteem because, you know, sometimes my self-esteem can be quite low. Just like everyone else, I hope. Or maybe I'm just not as confident as everyone else is. Anyways, the fifth and final dimension of curiosity is thrill-seeking. As the name suggests, this is about the willingness to take risks in order to achieve new experiences, which are usually quite intense because of the risk involved. So maybe if you're someone who decided to splash your life savings on the lottery, this would be you. And if you did spend all of your life savings on the lottery, I hope you're alright, and I hope your financial situation is okay. I wish you the best, but you really shouldn't have bought all of those lottery tickets. Yeah, I can't really do much to help you. I have no money myself. Now let's talk about the 4 different archetypes of curious people, and maybe we'll find out which one fits with your own personality. One type is the fascinated. These people score high on every single dimension of curiosity, particularly in joyous exploration. So these are your classic curious people. The people who seem to be interested in just about everything. They want to seek new experiences all the time, and they want to learn something new every single day. It kind of sounds like me, to be honest. I'm a bit of a nosy person, if I must say so myself. And maybe this fits your personality as well. We are the fascinated. The second type of people are the problem solvers. These people score highly on deprivation sensitivity and medium on all other dimensions, which means that these people are the people who like to think a lot. So again, the philosophers, the computer scientists, the engineers, the people who overthink things, maybe. I think you would be in this category, I don't know. But those types of people who like to ponder on questions about life and how do I solve this problem, and is there a different way to solve this problem? Or maybe this problem is unsolvable, but maybe I can find a solution to that. These people tend to persevere in logical problems that the average person would give up as soon as they think that it's going to take too long to solve something, or the problem at hand may not even have a solution or an answer to the question. That's a philosopher. The third type of curious people are the empathizers. These people score high in the dimension of social curiosity and medium on the rest. Now these are probably most of your psychologists who are really interested in how people work, but perhaps they may not be so eager to jump out of a plane like me. Yeah, I'm a bit weird in that way. But if you have quite a high interest in how people work, this is probably you. Unless of course you're part of the fascinated gang. Okay, that was really cringy. I'm never doing that again. The fourth and final type of curious people are the avoiders. And I'm not really sure that you can call these curious people, because the point of an avoider is that they're pretty much not curious in the slightest sense of curious. And by that, I mean that they would score low on every single dimension of curiosity, especially in stress tolerance. Avoiders are the people who are not curious, which sounds really sad. And if you have made it this far into the video, I'm glad to tell you that you're probably not an avoider because you were curious enough to click on this video and find out more about curiosity. Hopefully you figured out what archetype of curious person suits you. But if you haven't, I'll put a link down in the description to the actual test that they used to come up with this 5-dimension model of curiosity. This video was quite a psychology heavy video actually, which we love to see because
I am a psychologist.
I'm proud to say that because psychology is important, alright? And if you don't believe me, you know what? I'm kidding. I appreciate every single one of you because you watched the whole video, so thank you. If you enjoyed the video or you learned something new, please give me a thumbs up, hit that like button down below because it helps me in ways that you can't even imagine. And by that I mean it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Be sure to check out my channel Luther's Online and subscribe for more videos just like this one and other stuff which will be coming in the near future if you're watching this when I release it. Thank you guys so much for being here. This has been Luther and here's your reminder to never stop learning. Peace out.